second grade, happy Friday. So today we are going to be starting a brand new unit in math. And in that unit, we're gonna learn all about arrays. You may be asking yourself, what is an array? Well, I am here to show you. An array, boys and girls, is a group of pictures and they are drawn in a very specific way. Now, when we see an array, we know it's an array because they're set up in rows and columns. So you might know what a row is. Usually when we make a row of something, all of the items go across in a horizontal line. So if we take a look at the picture that I've drawn, I have two rows of circles. Here's row number 1, and here's row number 2. So we know that rows go across. Rows go across. So now another part of the array that we have to talk about are the columns. Now columns go up and down, or vertical. Now as you remember, I have the same picture here, and I had my two rows that went across, but I also have columns of circles as well. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns of circles as well. So this would be an example of an array. I can look at it as having two rows that go across, or I can look at it as having 4 columns that go up and down. So we know that columns go up and down. Now you might be asking yourself, what are arrays for? Why should I care about this picture with rows and columns? Well, I am here to tell you. When you see an array, they're going to want you to count up how many pictures there are. Now there's different ways that we can do this, but an array will help us do it faster. Now obviously you could count all these stars that are on my board, or you could think about the rows and the columns and make a repeated addition sentence. So a repeated addition sentence is when we add the same number over and over and over again to get our answer. So if we take a look on my board, I have an array of stars, and if you notice, I have the same number of stars in each row, and I have the same number of stars in each column. So what we can do to figure out how many stars there are is we can make a repeated addition sentence. Now we can do this 2 ways. The first way that we're going to talk about is using the rows. So let's count how many rows of stars we have. I see 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. So now that I know I have 3 rows, I have to count, well, how many stars are in each row? So this row has 1, 2, 3, 4 stars, and I know this row has 4 stars, and I know this row has 4 stars. So instead of counting all these stars, I can make a repeated addition sentence by adding together my 3 rows. Okay, so now that I have my repeated addition sentence, I know that if I add all those up, I'll get how many stars there are. So I know that 4 plus 4 is 8, and if I add 1 more 4, I get 12. So instead of counting all of those stars, I can think about them as rows and columns and add them using a repeated addition sentence. Now let's talk about the second way that we can figure this out. Okay, so the second way that we can figure this out is by looking at the columns. Now the last time we looked at the rows, we knew that there were 3 and that there were 4 stars in each row. We could do the same thing with the columns. So first let's count how many columns we have. So we have 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. So I have 4 columns of stars. So now I do the same thing and I count, well, how many stars are in each column? And then just by looking at it, I can see that this column has 3, this column has 3, this column has 3, and this column has 3. Now obviously the number of stars hasn't changed, and if I add up 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, I will also get 12. So there's 2 ways that we can figure it out. We can look at our rows and add those together, or we can look at our columns and add those together to get our answer to our repeated addition sentence. Now, repeated addition helps us to get ready for multiplying. Yay! So we're finally starting to multiply. Our iReady lessons are about arrays and how you can put items in columns and rows to make your repeated addition sentence. It's very important that you have the same number of items in each row and in each column so you can do your repeated addition sentence to find your answer. All right, second grade, I'll see you in the next video.